Hello everyone, welcome to another Flesh and Blood video. In this one, we're going over the rest of the Hunted, which includes the Assassin cards, the dual class cards, the generic cards, and the expansion slot cards. Now with the knowledge that Zephyr Needle's banned, which is important because we were going to actually talk about Zephyr Needle today, and we'll go over that a little more when we get to the Ninja Assassin cards, because that's where it matters. But before we get to that, we have all the Assassin cards to go over. There is Chaos cards, but there's only two, and one's a Fabled and one's in the expansion slot, so we'll go over them we'll go over the Fabled after we talk about Arachne Marionette, or I believe people are calling him Mario, which, fair enough. Mario is right there. But we're going to take a look at those, then we're going to take a look at the rest of the Assassin, then just go down the list. We talked about the Draconic, Warrior, and Ninja cards in the last video, so if you want to go take a look at that one to see that, you can. But for now, we're talking about the rest of the set, starting with Arachne Marionette and Arachne Web of Deceit. They are a 4 intellect, standard health, chaos assassin hero. Chaos is a new trait, but there's only like 2 cards for it, so don't really, it's not too, well, I guess there's more, because all the different thingies here are chaos, but oh well. Marionette's main ability is all of your attacks with stealth gain +1 power, and the on hit go again if they're attacking a marked hero. This is different than the 2 Draconic heroes who had the same ability where they'd make a fealty token. Arachne, as long as you don't hit the opponent, threatens constant go again. Of course, if you're not hitting them, you're not getting your go again though. But if you do mark someone, it's pretty much saying, hey, if you get hit, you're going to get hit again right after. Really powerful effect. But there is something cool about Mario here. Because at the end of your turn, if an opponent is marked, so if you fail to hit with your attack, you become a random agent of chaos. This has to be decided randomly. If you roll a die, it doesn't count as rolling a die for synergies. You just randomly choose. I'm not going to read all of them fully because I went over them in a video a while ago, but I'll go over the brief idea of them. They're all 4 int. They all return back to the normal Arachne at the beginning of your end phase, and they all do something that requires you, except Trapdoor, to discard an Assassin card. So I'll read them really quick. I'm not going to go super in-depth about them. Black Widow has a reaction to discard an Assassin card, to give an Assassin attack with Stealth +3 and the on-hit to banish a card from the hero's hit's hand. Funnel Web is the same effect, but from Arsenal instead of hand. Orb Weaver makes your Graphene Shell Arrays cost 1 less to attack with. We'll go over that in this video as well. That's a token weapon. You can discard an Assassin attack at instant speed, or an Assassin card at instant speed to equip one of those daggers and make your next stealth attack its +3 this turn. Arachne Redback is a reaction to give a stealth attack give any Assassin attack +3, but if it had stealth, it gets go again. Tarantula gives your daggers an on hit to make that hero hit lose a life, and you can discard an Assassin card to give a dagger +3. And then Trapdoor makes you search your deck for a card and banish it face down, and if that card you banished was a trap, you can play it until the start of your next turn. There are some new traps to go over in this set, not just the poison traps from Outsiders, or the plague traps. Overall, I think Arachne has a really good kit. Originally, when we saw Mark of the Huntsman, the token weapon, I didn't think Arachne would have enough stuff to mark, but now that we have Hunter's Cleave, we'll talk about that as well. Arachne just has a permanent marking threat on the board that just gives them so much value. It's sort of like how New has her dagger, the Beckoning Mistblade, to threaten it just an extra attack. And that's really powerful. Arachne has the exact same thing with the Hunter's Cleave. And I think we'll talk about the weapons before we talk about the Fabled here, because they are a little more important to the kit. Hunter's Clave is a assassin one-handed dagger. It's 2 to attack and has go again and has piercing 1, same as all of the other normal disruptive daggers from Outsiders. And it has a simple on hit to mark the hero you hit. So it's just a free mark. If they don't block it, they're going to get marked. Fairly consistent. You don't need to rely on actual cards to mark like the Draconic heroes do. You still might play some marking, like, where is it? The discard mark, Reaper's Call, seems like a pretty good card. That lets you mark. And I believe there's another one that marks. Mark the Prey as well as an on hit to mark. So you probably will play some other effects that can mark, as well as you can flick the Hunter's Clave to get the mark because those trigger on hits, flicking daggers. So it's a very easy effect to actually get off. This is going to be played in Arachne Guaranteed, possibly in some other Arachnes as well. Notably here, Slip Through the Cracks is not in the set. We will not be going over Slip Through the Cracks in this video because they're not in the set. But I think they're fine. You'll get them for going to the pre-release too. You can play them if you want. They're pretty good though, but we're not going over them. They don't play Hunter's Clave, most likely, unless they want other synergies with marking. If you're a deck that wants marking synergies, I think New will play a Hunter's Clave because some of these new cards are really good for disruption, and they're better than your other blues that don't disrupt. So I think you probably play a Hunter's Clave and a Mistblade, so you can actually use those hit when marked synergies. The other dagger is the Mark of the Huntsman. This is for limited. I don't think you're going to play this one in Constructed. It's 2 costs to attack with go again. It has 1 power. An upside to it is if you are attacking a marked hero, it does get +1. So it can be useful there if you have 1 of each to get that additional damage on some dagger swings. But it does still get covered up by 1 card. And when it hits a hero, you can choose to destroy the Mark of the Huntsman to mark the hero hit, which is just a worse effect than Hunter's Clave. But it breaks the dagger if you can't flick, which will really only happen in limited. So Mark of the Huntsman's okay. I think you're better off playing either 2 Hunter's Claves or a Hunter's Clave and a Disruptive Dagger to start, because you'll definitely be equipping the other token daggers later. Next, we have the Assassin Legendary Equipment, Mark of Deceit. This is an Arachne specialization. However, it is notably a Assassin equipment, not a Chaos Assassin equipment, which means, in addition to Marionette being able to play this, Arachne Huntsman and Arachne Slip Through the Cracks are both allowed to play Mask of Deceit, which means they are able to become a member of the Brood, which are the 6 Agents of Chaos, once a game. And it's a 2-block Blade Break helmet, so it's the standard efficiency on helmets we see nowadays, which is really good. It is random, but if the target's marked, you do get to choose, which is really nice. I think that's a reason to want to play the Hunter's Clave. And you do have to go back to your original hero at the end of the turn still, because that's the effect on all the agents, but I do really like this card. I think it's going to be played in pretty much all of the Arachnes because, well, all 6 of these Arachnes have a better effect than Huntsman, let's be fair. And a nice change up on 1 turn for Slip Through the Cracks is probably pretty good, especially if you do want to play that marking package and you do get to choose. You can become something like a Redback if you want to keep go again, or if you want to be more disruptive, Black Widow or Funnel Web, or even, honestly, Orb Weaver, I think is fine there. So really good card. I think this card will see play in all of the Arachne decks. As well as this is a card drawn by Mark Poole, so it's another card I have to get signed the next time I go to a convention he is at. Now, the Fabled. Schism of Chaos is a blue Chaos resource, so only Marionette and Slip Through Cracks can play it. It's legendary, so you can only have 1 in your deck. When it's pitched, each hero shuffles, then puts the top card of their deck face down into their arsenal. A really good card draw effect, but it is symmetrical, so you do have to be careful helping out your opponent. But of course, you're assassins, so you can disrupt the arsenal. I think this card's really good. I don't know how good it will be. I mean, Arachne probably won't be the first deck list I do, so we'll have some event results to truly tell if Schism is worth it to put in your deck. I think it possibly could be. It really depends on how good random arsenals are for you. And because you have that disruption on Arsenal, it's pretty good. So I do like Schism of Chaos. I don't know if it's worth it, but I think it could be pretty good. The main meat and potatoes, though, of the Assassin kit is all of these actual cards, because a lot of them are incredibly powerful. We'll start with the M's and we'll go down. I'll say reprints that are here because there are some, but I won't go over them too in depth. But these M's are pretty nice. Let's start with Kiss of Death. This is a 0 cost, 3 power, it's stealth. It's a 3-block stealth card. I'm not going to say the stat lines. Every stealth attack has the exact same stat line dependent on color. I'll say it if it changes. Is a red stealth attack with a simple on hit to make the hero hit lose a life. However, Kiss of Death is a dagger, which means it can be flicked. If you flick it, you do get that 1 bonus damage. Another notable thing is a card Toxicity. That one is very good. That one gives your next attack an on hit to make them lose 5 life, which means if you play that and then Kiss of Death and then swing with something else, you can flick the Kiss of Death to make them lose the 1 life from the Kiss of Death as well as the 5 life from the Toxicity. I think that's only going to be played in solitary confinement. Or not solitary confinement, Slip Through the Cracks. Same thing. Slip Through the Cracks, because Marionette has better stuff to do than play Toxicity, and Huntsman is not good. I guess you could play it, but also because you get the guaranteed go again, so you can actually give the Kiss of Death go again, guaranteed, on Slip Through Cracks, which is pretty good. I do really like this card. I think it'll even see play in like a Zuri, just because if you go wide, if you can give this go again somehow, and then you can flick it later, that's pretty nice. Under the Trapdoor is a blue stealth attack. It has an instant speed effect to discard it to banish a trap in your graveyard, and you may play that trap this turn from your graveyard, and if you do, you banish it. Pretty much it's just extra copies of Anaphylactic Shock. I think there's another trap that we'll talk about later, but I think this is the best trap. We'll talk about that when we get to it. Take Up the Mantle is probably my favorite card out of all of the Assassin cards in the set. I just think it's really cool. This is a yellow 0 cost 3-block reaction that gives an attack with stealth +2, but if you're attacking a marked hero, you instead give it +3 and banish a stealth attack in your graveyard to make the attack that you're currently playing a copy of that stealth attack. So you can recur something like the Kiss of Death if you really want to, or a Persuasive Prognosis, or a Bonds of Agony, or any of those stealth attacks. It's really good. I really like this type of effect whenever it's in any game that's like swap out from graveyard type effect, and it's super flavorful. One of my favorite cards in the set. I think this card will see play new as well, because you can turn your pretty bad blue attacks into those powerful blue attacks, that Bonds of Agony, Persuasive Prognosis, during the reaction step, making them harder to interact with. And like I said, you're probably playing a Hunter's Clave inside of new for that exact reason. Tarantula Toxin is a red 3-block A-React. You can choose one or both. You can give a dagger +3 or make a card defending an attack with stealth have -3 block. Sort of just shred with upside of being able to pump a dagger instead. But there is a stealth dagger in that token that we'll talk about later, so you can do both on that, specifically that attack, which sometimes is good. Anaphylactic Shock is a really good card. This is a blue instant speed trap, limited to only Assassin, but each opposing hero and ally that has dealt damage to you this turn loses 1 life. So we don't currently have many allies that do actually have 1 life. I don't even think there's a single one currently in the format, but if you can stack these, you can kill all of your opponent's warriors with, if they're playing Kasai. I guess you need to stack 4 of these to kill all their angels, and good luck stacking 6 to kill the demons, but eventually we will get more allies, and this card will be a lot better. I think this is a good trap to get off of Trapdoor. Even though it doesn't protect you, it can be a way to deal damage to your opponent on their turn as well. It's a blue, so you can always pitch it. You just got to be careful because you can't block with it. But again, you're mainly playing this card to actually play it. Overall, I think the M's are pretty good. They offer a lot of utility and Take Up the Mantle, a lot of damage in Kiss of Death and Anaphylactic Shock. And even though I don't think Under the Trapdoor or Torrential Toxin are inherently powerful, I think they do have their place in some decks. Moving on to the rares, Bite is a stealth attack that has an on attack to flick a dagger. Not much to say there, it's simple. Whittle from Bone is a stealth attack that on attack of a marked hero equips the Graphene Shell Array. We'll talk about that. I guess actually, let's talk about the Graphene Shell Array now. Graphene Shell Array is a stealth assassin token weapon. It's a dagger, is 1 power, and it's only 1 to attack, which remember it will be free if you are currently Orb Weaver. And if it attacks a marked hero, it gets go again. However, you do need to be careful because if this does hit that hero, they will lose their mark. It's a good token to keep re-equipping and flicking with daggers. So I really like it, honestly. I think this card's very good. But you can't play it in your main board. You have to equip it in some way. You can also bottom it with Azuri. We'll talk about that soon. That's kind of the more important part of Whittle from Bone. If you want to play marking in Azuri, Whittle from Bone lets you equip the dagger that lets you swap, and this is an attack trigger, which means that you can play it, then swap this out, and the next turn you have the dagger, which is really cool and really good. And this set is like insane for Assassin. Stains of the Redback is a 1-cost A-React with 3 block. It costs 1 less if the defending hero is marked, and it gives an attack with stealth plus 3 and go again. Just an easy 0-cost plus 3 go again pump if they're marked, which hopefully they will be because you're playing Assassin and you have really good marking in this deck. Orb Weaver Spinneret is a 0-cost 3-block action that has you equip the Graphene Shell Array and give your next stealth attack this turn plus 3 at red. Really good card. I can see this one seeing play in Azuri, especially the blue one because it's a blue block 3 that equips a really good dagger for you. You can also play this on more stealth-based Azuri lists that actually want to keep their stealth attacks in play with the red by giving plus 3 and then later having the dagger to swap away. Backstab is a common reprint. We're not going to talk about it, but I think it's a good reprint to have in this set. It's, I'd say, the least offensive of the original stealth attacks. Defang the Dragon and Extinguish the Flame are both red stealth attacks that want you to hit marked heroes with whatever, either the element. So Defang the Dragon wants you to hit, or whatever the name. So Defang the Dragon wants you to hit Fang. Extinguish the Flame wants you to hit Syndra. They need to be marked. This is contract, so technically this works with Arachne, but with Huntsman, but who cares? You don't care. And if you do that, you do draw a card, which is good because that means contracts are a different thing. They're a different type of synergy than making silver tokens, which is pretty good. Drawing your cards really good, but you obviously have to be against Syndra or Fang, and also they're probably only good in limited because at least these 2 cards are only good in limited because you're not playing this card in most of your other decks. Mark of the Black Widow is a on-hit of marked hero to banish a card from their hand. Same as Funnel Web is Arsenal. These are just the attacks of those 2 Agents of Chaos that do the same thing they do. Mark the Prey gives you an on-hit mark. Plunge the Prospect gives you a +1 if you're attacking a marked hero. Reaper's Call is a discard to mark target opposing hero. And Scuttle the Canal is an on attack of marked hero, gain go again. These are all fine. They're all normal stealth attacks. So there's not much to go over them there. I think they're playable. Mark the Prey is good. Plunge the Prospect is okay. I think you play Blue Reaper's Call almost 100%. Even in new, I think you play Blue Reaper's Call just because you can discard it and then swing with Looking for a Scrap. And as well as Marking, which is really good for other cards. So I think you definitely play that one. Probably Mark the Prey as well and stuff like Azuri and such. And then I think Mark of the Black Widow and Mark of the Funnel Web are auto-includes if you just want to be a destructive deck. Really good for new as well. There's another reprint in Razor's Edge, which gives any stealth attack action +3. And there are 2 other assassin reactions. 2 sides to the blade is a 1-cost, choose 1 3-block reaction. You can either give a dagger +3 or an attack action with stealth +3 and an on-hit to mark a hero. It's a good effect, but it is +1, which can make it a little weak in some points. I think it's okay, very good and limited. Don't know if it'll see play in Constructed, but there is a chance. And then finally, we have another trap. Hunted or Hunter is a 0-cost 3-block red assassin-only trap that when it defends and the attacking hero played or activated a reaction, they lose a life. So just a Riptide ability on a trap is fine. It's good and limited. Don't know if it'll see play in Constructed, but it is a good 3-block trap that you can get that isn't one of the other plague traps. So I think you always just get Frailty Trap or Inertia Trap and be happy. I guess it's better than the Blood Rot Trap in a few situations. Overall, I think Assassin this set is incredibly powerful. Assassin is probably the biggest winner this set. I think they probably have the most playable just base cards, considering that Assassin, I think, has the largest card pool at this point of base classes, even though it is the literal newest class in Flesh and Blood. I think that's incredible. They've just gotten so many heroes over their release window, and they just keep getting really, really good cards. So there's not really much to say bad about Assassin. I guess Huntsman's bad, and they were the first one. But really, every other Assassin since then, Azuri, all the new Arachnes have been insanely powerful. And this set looks to boost up all of them. But with all that, let's move on to some of the, I believe it's dual class next. Is it dual class next? Which dual class is it? Dual class Ninja Assassin next. Let's move on to that one. Now, the Assassin Ninja cards in general are insanely powerful. This is where I talk about Zephyr Needle, but they banned it. So I guess we'll talk about it a little bit. Every card here, like Blood Splattered Vest, Pain in the Backside, Third Dagger, Cut Through, Up 6 and Run, Pick Up the Point, were all cards that got Zephyr Needle banned. 100%. Every one of these cards is insane. Poison Blade, not so much, because Poison Blade is good with Syndra, but Pick Up the Point, Up 6 and Run, Cut Through, these 2 M's, they got the card banned. And Blood Splattered Vest. Like, all of these cards are just, Zephyr Needle should not exist. We'll go over them all, starting with the Blood Splattered Vest. Again, Ninja does not get a unique chest piece. They have the share, or a unique equipment. They have the share with Assassin. Last time they got a unique class, like, full class, not Kasaya. Like, I'm not going to count the Mystic equipment. Like, I'm not going to count the traded ones, right? But the last time Ninja got an actual legendary equipment for just themselves was way back in Uprising. And, I mean, to be fair, they didn't really use Flick Knives the best from Outsiders. Now they will, because of this set, because of how push daggers are in this dual class, including this chest piece. So Blood Splattered Vest, we'll read it, is a 1-block Blade Break Assassin Ninja chest equipment. It says, whenever a dagger you control hits, you may gain a resource and put a stain counter on this, and if there are 3 or more stain counters, it blows up. Okay, so who thought this would be a fair card? If you really think about it, Tunic, to get 3 resources, needs you to play 9 turns. If you are Assassin or a Ninja, unless you are new, when are you going past 9 turns? Even Azuri barely goes past 9 turns a lot of the time, because she just has those aggressive pop-off turns. So why does this card need to give you that many resources so early? This is part 1 of why Zephyr Needle was banned, and why Katsu keeps going into every set getting new support and getting worse. Because this card could never exist, I think, in Flesh and Blood, a year ago. This card probably shouldn't even exist a year from now. Even with Kodachi. Well, first thing, Syndra. And this card is obviously balanced for Syndra, I think. I think it's okay in Syndra. Because she's a deck that wants you to discount your one-cost cards. They want you to actually throw your daggers. This kind of helps you. Sure. But in every other ninja that actually wants to play daggers, obviously Zen can't use it now because he can't play Zephyr Needle anymore. And he's never playing Kodachi. So it can't use it in Zen. Also, he has Kisaya. In Ira, even with Kodachis, this card's insane. It makes your Kodachis free. It lets you extend your turns insanely well. If you hit with both Kodachis, even if you hit with one Kodachi, and on a pitch blue, you have 2 other resources, which means off a 2-card hand, if you hit one Kodachi, you can go Kodachi for 1, Kodachi for 2, CNC. Which is a 9 damage turn that disrupts Arsenal, which is insanely powerful. You can change that to any other 2 for 6. Where before, if you had a 2-card hand like that, you'd throw a Censor, which sometimes matters. In Katsu, is this card good in Katsu? Of fucking course it is. Because you can swing through daggers and then still play the Surging Strike right after for free. And you still have your resources to do anything else. If you had another Surging Strike, if they block something, you could just start your line again. This card's really good. You're going to play it in any ninja who doesn't already have a chess piece. So that's Syndra, that's Ira, that's Katsu. Before we talk about the rest of the cards, we can talk about these other equipment. The Leapfrog set is pretty much, they're 1-block Blade Break, but if the opponent reacts, you can block with them. In the reaction step, we're not going to go over them. They're commons for limited, but they are good. And Danger Digits is a one-time use Flick Knives for limited. The rest of the cards also break needles. Let's talk about them. Pain in the Backside. This is a red 3 for 2 with Go Again, so it's a head jab that has an on-hit to flick a dagger, but the dagger doesn't destroy itself. Very good in Assassin. However, inside of Ninja, notably, this can gain you a resource. Doesn't matter in Assassin, because they have enough resources to do anything, but the Blood Splattered Vest gives you the resource, which is so good in Ninja, making this a must block. Throw Dagger just is a flick. You throw the dagger. However, it draws you a card, if that dagger dealt damage. Which means you can just turn this into a new card. We see Ancestral in a lot of Ninja decks. Very powerful. This card, very similar. If Katsu doesn't want to play Flick Knives, I think you play 3 Throw Daggers in your deck, so in the end game, you can draw these again and then throw your Kodachis, and you'll win a game. Will that be good? Probably not, because Katsu sucks. But I think this card's also incredibly powerful. This might be the least powerful of the new cards that have dagger synergies for Ninja, but pretty good. Let's talk about the rares, because these two are the problem children. Cut Through is a 0 for 3 that if you hit with a dagger this combat chain, gets +1 and Go Again. So it's a 0 for 4 with Go Again, because they're never blocking your Kodachi for 1. Maybe they'd block your needles. Sure, they block your needles. But they're not blocking Kodachis. So this card gets better if you're forced on Kodachi. In fact, Ira probably just played it 1 Kodachi, 1 needle most of the time. So you'd always just have it. You'd always just have it. There's a 0 for 4 Go Again for free. Because you're planning to swing at your weapons every turn. Up Sticks and Run is a only 2-block action. We've talked about this card a lot, or I haven't talked about it, but a lot of people have talked about it. It lets you retrieve a dagger, which is a new mechanic. You can pay 1 to re-equip a dagger from your graveyard, pretty much. That's what it means. So with Needle, when Needle breaks, or you flick a dagger, because flicking daggers puts them in the graveyard, you get your resource, you get your dagger back. Then your next dagger gets +4. So, with a 2-card hand, blue and this, with needles, you could swing with Needle. They block it, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Swing with your other needle for 3. Flick the first needle with Flick Knives. Gain a resource from your Bloodstained Vest. So now you have 2 resources again. Then you play the Up Sticks and Run to pick up the needle that you just flicked. And then swing with it again for 6. And that was a 12 damage, or 11 damage. No, 12 damage because it's Flick Knives. A 12 damage 2-card hand. That's why they banned Needle. Would it have been fair? I don't know. I think we should have seen it in the format first, to be honest. But incredibly powerful. I think this is still good, because if you do it with Kadachi, you lose out on 3 damage, but a 2-card 9 is still really good. Like, Ira can do 2-card 9s already, so you might not think it's that powerful, but considering a 2-card 9 is technically a 2-card 15 because you block 6 and you save yourself 6 health, that's really good. Really powerful. Pick up the point probably doesn't see play anymore. It was good when you had double needle because you could get the needle back easily. It's just a head jab with on attack retrieve dagger. It's not the best anymore. Poison blade, you hit a dagger, they lose a life. It's good in Syndra because you're flicking so much. That's about it. I mean, there's not much to say about it. I think it's really good, but we'll have to see. I really do like the card though. And then finally, we have 2, like, not the best Assassin Ninja cards, but they're still good. Throw Yourself at Them is a 1-for-3 with Go Again that has an on attack to flick a dagger. It's okay. I don't think it's as good as Pain in the Backside, because Pain in the Backside doesn't destroy it, but still really good. And then Lair of the Spider is another trap for your trapdoor that gives you a on defense of a Go Again attack, you mark the attacking hero, which is really good as well for Syndra because you get an inertia token, theoretically, or a fealty token. You get a fealty token, theoretically, because they're marked now and you're just going to hit them really easily. So overall, Assassin Ninja is broken. I think every card here is really good, and most of them are common. I think Pain in the Backside could be the most expensive M in the set because of how good it is and how versatile it is. We'll have to see. Blood Splattered Vest seems insane. I don't think any of the assassins actually play it. I think this is just a ninja chess piece, which is fine because ninja needs equipment because their equipment's bad. But also they get to play Flick Knives now, so technically they gain 2 equipment this set, so sure. I'm kind of mad about these, which is why my tone for this part of the video is pretty. You can probably tell I'm a little upset here because these cards made Katsu worse, and I just want Katsu to be good because they got a card ban, and Katsu can't play these. Why would Katsu play Why would Katsu play Blue Cut Through? Why would Katsu play Blue Up Sticks and Run? They block 2. All these cards block 2. Katsu can't play them. Katsu can play Throw Dagger. That's about it. They can play Throw Dagger and Vest. You probably do play them. Other than that, you're not playing Flick Knives. You don't care about any of these. You're not playing any of it. Maybe you play Pain in the Backside, but it doesn't have combo, so why do you care? Katsu gets support. Katsu is a card in supplemental, or down here, the extra stuff that we'll talk about later. But yeah, Katsu gets worse whenever ninja cards get printed because they have to ban something, and they do it every time. Literally every time a card has gotten banned that made Katsu worse, it was because of another ninja. It wasn't even Katsu's fault. Zen got Bonds banned. Zen got Art of War banned. Well, they probably should have banned Art of War in the first place, so I'm not really going to count that one. Zen got everything banned. And then he gets away scot-free. Zen's still a good deck. Zen's still really good. Zen is still a top 5 deck in the format because the mid-range Zen deck's just as powerful. A little worse, I'd say. Obviously, it's not kill you on turn 2 level with a double Art of War. But still, it's a very powerful deck. Ira, incredibly good. Ira is another ninja who just gets to use the ninja cards better than the original ninja. Katsu needs, like, an armory deck. Probably. But overall, Assassin Ninja, I've been doing stars. I should have done star. I don't remember if I did stars for Draconic and all that other stuff. I probably should. If I did this, the Assassin Ninja gets a 5-star. All these cards are broken. If you open a single Assassin Ninja card, like any of the rares, any of the M's, the L, you're happy. Because these cards are all insane. But oh well, let's move on to Assassin Warrior, something I'm not angry about, because I'm angry about these Assassin Ninja cards. I want them off of my screen. Assassin Warrior also gets a bunch of really nice cards. No legendary here, since Warrior got their helmet we talked about last video, and Assassin got the mask that we did just talk about. They do have a cycle of equipment. The Red Alert cycle, which gets +1 block if they are defending something and a chain link is, or a reaction's used on the chain link, and it's offensive one. They also have blade break, so they can be 2 blocks sometimes, which is really nice to cover up against Fang daggers, most likely. And they also have the starting point, which is a reaction to give something go again, but only if you've done a reaction, this reaction step. So pretty nice addition for Fang as well, but also pretty good for the assassins with some of their normal reactions. They have 2 M's, just like Assassin Ninja. Perforate is a 1 cost, yellow 3 block reaction. It gives a dagger an additional attack, as well as it makes it cost 1 less to attack, and you draw a card. So pretty nice. If you can give whatever you're swinging with go again, more important in, I'd say, Assassin probably, than in Fang, but pretty nice with Fang if you have all of the reactions to give it go again over again, which is really nice. Savor Bloodshed, though, I think is the better card. It's a 0 cost 3 block action. It gives your next dagger attack +4, so it's a 0 for 4. And the next time you hit a marked hero with a dagger this turn, you draw a card. So really good in Fang because you want to be, excuse me, because you want to be marking them as often as you can. And it's okay in Assassin too if you can land a marked hit with a dagger, I guess. But you really don't want to be doing that. This is mainly a Fang card. To the Point is a 2 block reaction that gives +3 on a dagger, or if they're marked, gives +4. Just some extra damage. It's another 0 for 4. Cut from the Same Cloth is a 2 block action that gives your next dagger attack +4. And it causes your opponent to reveal their hand, and if they have any attack reactions, you mark them. This is an incredibly powerful effect, especially in Limited, but also in Constructed, just getting to look at their hand. In Constructed, you don't even care if you mark them. It's a 0 for 4 that lets you see what they have, which is really nice. Incision is just a free 3 block reaction that gives a dagger +3. It's pretty good. Not much to say about it. Scar Tissue is the same, but with 2 block and gives it a non-hit mark. I think this card's better, but we'll have to see. I think this card might actually see some constructed play, though, because it is a mark. Take a Stab is a same stat line as Scar Tissue, but instead of giving an on-hit mark, makes it so when you do hit a marked hero, you get to attack an additional time with the weapon. And then finally, we have one last trap for Trapdoor. This one is an Assassin Warrior trap, and it triggers off of a hero having, or a hero attacking with something with more power, and then marking them. So again, a pretty good trap for Trapdoor, but also pretty nice in Fang if you need to be a little more defensive. Overall, Assassin Warrior doesn't have the most interesting cards, but it does have a lot of really good ones. Savor Bloodshed, one of the best, I think, as well as To the Point being, and Cut from the Cloth being pretty good cards you might see in CC, as well as possibly Scar Tissue. Next, let's move on to the generics. We have a lot of things to say about these generic cards too, because there's another card here, Why Needles got banned, but let's start with the generic equipment. With the last, is it the last one? Technically not, because CNC is legendary, but the last main set legendary being the Quick Dodge Flexors. These are a generic leg. They say at the beginning of your end phase, if they defended, destroy them. And they have a defense reaction to pay a resource, add it to the active chain link as a defending card, and it has 2 base block this chain link. So here's the thing. This is not once per turn. This is just pay a resource, add it to the active chain link as a defending card. So I'm pretty sure this is a unmovable. This is a 1-turn unmovable. So like, this card's kind of insane, right? This turns a blue block 3 into a, not even a blue block 3. This turns any blue into an unmovable. Yes, it's spread around, but like, this card's just kind of insane, right? Like, I think this is probably the best legendary in the set, eventually. If it works the way I'm thinking it does, and I'm pretty sure it does, This card is just cracked. Because you get to just say, okay, here's a blue. Your next 3 attacks, I take 2 less damage. Really powerful. I think these are one of the best legendaries in this set. I think if these are ever less than $20, you buy like 4. This is not a financial advice channel. Do not take my financial advice as fact. But if they were like $20, I would buy 2 or 3. Because I think this card is could be very underestimated. I think this is the best shoe you can play in Guardian. Probably the best shoe you can play in Ira. If you really don't need, the Tiger, if you're not playing dual threat, right? If you're playing dual threat, I think you play the Tiger shoe. But like if you're not playing dual threat, you play these in Ira. I think you play these in like any other, in Enigma, these are insane. Like in Enigma, these are crazy. There's so many things you can do with these. This card's very good. We also have a generic cycle. These are rare. The Blade Beckoner Helm, they are 1 block and guard well, but they get +1 if they defend a weapon, which is pretty good because you can space it out. If you defend something that's not a weapon first, they go to 1 block, and then you can defend a weapon later, and then they go to another 1 block. So pretty good. I do like these. I think these are a good equipment to have for limited. And then we also have the Bunker Beard, which is a defense reaction to let you block with the card in your arsenal. Pretty simple. Moving on to the M's. Rotten Remains is a 0 cost 3 block 1 power attack. It says when it attacks, you may banish a card with 1 power from each hero's graveyard. If you do, this gets +1 power, and then you repeat the process. So you do have to do it from each hero's graveyard. You can't just do it from your own and make this thing huge. You do need to be in a matchup where it does matter. These are going to be matchups like Ira and Assassins. I think those are the only 2 that you'd actually use this card, which means it's probably not the best. It seems good in limited. Don't get me wrong. In this limited format, it seems really good. But in normal CC, I don't think it'll see much play. It could just be a good 3-block blue with 1 power, though. If you were playing like new, I think you just play this because. Shelter from the Storm is the expensive card in the set. This is the new CNC, everyone. This is the card you need to have 3 of or your deck isn't competitive. It's a 0 cost 4-block defense reaction that says discard this card from your hand at instant speed to make the next 3 times you would take damage, you prevent 1 of it, which means this can stop rune chants, this can stop daggers, this can stop flicking daggers. Shelter from the Storm is an incredibly powerful card. You will see this at 3 in every sideboard in every deck that has ever existed ever, because of how powerful this effect can be. Maybe if Viserai becomes terrible, which he's looking really good this set still, by the way, so he's not going to be terrible. As well as if daggers, like flicking daggers, would have to not be meta, and that's impossible now because of this set. As well as like even just arcane damage. Like against, I guess, Cecilio. Yay, more counters to Cecilio, well, whatever. That's circumstance, right? If you play this against Cecilio, you discard it and block with 2/3s on like Gone to Flashes, and you prevent 1 from their burn spell, right? Like that's fine. But still, it has a lot of uses. It's good in most matchups, even if you're just playing it as a 0 for 4 defense reaction. That's good. Those are good. We play Sink Below, we play Fate Foreseen. If your deck includes Fate Foreseen, and you don't have a specific reason, like if you're Blaze, keep the Fate Foreseen, but if you're playing it and you don't care about the ops, you should play Shelter from the Storm, because it's really good. This is going to be the expensive card. I hope everyone pulls these in their boxes, because people will look for them, and this gives this card very good. The last Majestic is Dual Threat. This is a yellow 3-block action. It makes it so if you've attacked with a weapon this turn, your next attack action gets +3, and if you've attacked with an attack action this turn, your next weapon gets +3. Very good inside of Ninja, another reason Needle got banned, because you could swing with the 2-power Needle, then play an attack, and then play this, and then swing at the 5-power Needle, and then another attack. If you play this in Ira, you're most likely playing Pouncing Paws, because it lets you generate an attack to trigger the dual threat. So you can swing at Dagger, so Kodachi now. Swing with Kodachi, pop Paws, play dual threat. Pop Paws, play Paws for one, because the Ira. Then play dual threat, swing with an attack if both of those hit. Swing with an attack for however much +3 to threat and mask. If something didn't hit, swing with the Kodachi for 4. Then do the other, and then play whatever else you have on your turn. Very powerful. Dual threat, really good card. Playable in not just Ira. That's an example for Ira. I think this will be played in a lot more decks, but I think its best home will be Ira. Now we got some rares. Pursuit of the Edge of Oblivion and Pursuit of the Pits of Despair are 0 for 4 and 1 for 5. 3 blocks that on hit mark. They're good for limited. Maybe Pursuit play in constructed. I don't know. Sound the Alarm is a 1 for 5 that on attack has you reveal the hero you attack's hand, so more hand reveal, which is really good. If they had an attack reaction, you can search your deck for a defense reaction and then shuffle your deck and put that card on top. Really good with in limited mainly. May actually see play inside of some other decks, don't know, but this is a 1 for 5 3 block, so really isn't bad. We have a Razor Reflex reprint, not going to read Razor, makes sense for the set though. Imperial Seal of Command is a 0 cost legendary action, it's an item. It says destroy it, defense reactions can't be played this turn. If you're royal, the next time you hit this turn, you destroy all cards in that hero's arsenal. Really powerful for the royal decks. This is like the Horn or Ledger is the other one. Those do see some play sometimes. This one stops defense reactions. I think it'll see play in sideboards if you are playing against like a really defensive deck, like a Riptide or something, or any other deck that plays a ton of D-reacts, like Guardian. Relentless Pursuit is a 0 cost 3 block action. It marks target opposing hero, and if you've already attacked them this turn, you put this on the bottom of your deck. This card is pretty decent. I think it might see place in actually some decks and be pretty good. It's a blue block 3 that marks, and that's good enough. Calming Breeze is the discard effect of Shelter from the Storm, but at instant speed. The only, like an actual instant. The only deck I could see this ever seeing use in is probably Acilio, because he wants to discard instants, and maybe he wants more defense. I think it's fine. Not the best card, though. Sigil of Solace is a reprint. We're not going to read it, but it makes sense because there's so much true damage this set. Tip Off is a 1 for 5 at red. It's a discard to mark an opposing hero, similar to the Assassin card we already talked about today. I think it's fine for limited. Not going to play it in constructed. Outed, Lay Low, and Exposed are all a cycle of cards you cannot play if you are marked, but have a benefit if you're attacking someone marked. Outdated gets +1 power, and so it's a 0 for 4 with Go Again. It doesn't have any block though, so do be careful. You can't play it if you're marked. Lay Low gives an attack. It gives the next attack -1 if they're marked, but you can't play it if you're marked. And it's a yellow D-react, so it blocks 3. And then Exposed is an attack reaction that also can't block. It's blue. You can't play it if you're marked. It gives +1, and you mark the defending hero. So I think this is the best one. This one could see CC play, but probably not, because it's a blue that doesn't block, and you can't play it if you're marked, and you could be marked sometimes, and you just get screwed over. We have Put in Context. This is a 0 cost 3 block defense reaction that can only be played if it's defending an attack with 3 or less base power, which is good because it's a blue as well, so you can always pitch it. Nip at the Heels is a reaction that gives an attack with 3 or less base power +1, also blue. And Trot Along is the dwarf on Belittle, and it gives an attack with 3 or less base Go Again. Pretty good, just a cycle of 3 or less base things, because a lot of cards in this set have 3 or less base power. Like most of them, like 80%. So, if not more. So really good, powerful cards. there for limited, not in CC, but for limited. The last common in the set that we need to go over before we talk about the expansion slot cards is Public Bounty. This is a 1-cost 2-block generic action that has you mark the opposing hero, and the next time you attacked a marked hero this turn, the attack gets pumped by the color of Public Bounty, red being 3. And it itself has Go Again. Like every other action in this set. I think I skipped saying Go Again on all of them, but I'm pretty sure they all have Go Again. Public Bounty is really good. In limited, it's a free mark and a pump. It does cost 1 in block 2, but that's okay because the rest of the set also blocks 2. I think it's a powerful card. You'll definitely see this one in limited. Not so much CC, but a possibility. Overall, the generics, very powerful. Especially Shelter and Dual Threat. I think those two are going to see the most play, but I think you could see some use out of Imperial Seal, Command, possibly Exposed or Outed, and even Rotten Remains, and definitely Quick Dodge Reflexes. All very good cards. Also, I just realized, I don't think you do it, but you could technically play 3 of these in Olympia and then get them back, but you're not going to do that. It'd be funny, though. Either way, that is the entire set. It is not the end of the video because we have all of the supplemental cards to talk about, all the expansion slot cards, but overall I think the Hunted is an incredibly powerful set. Most M's, I'm not going to say if not all because not all M's are like broken, but most M's are incredibly good this set, so picking up a box or 2 might be advised. Again, this is not a investment channel. You cannot sue me if I tell you to buy anything. But I think it's a good set. Some of the cards might be a little more expensive on the secondary market, so it could be easier to just pull them, or if you want to make some quick money, maybe. Again, not an investment channel. Possibly a good call. But with all of that, let's move on to the end of the video talking about the expansion slot cards. Now, I know this video is already pretty long, so let's try to get through these as fast as possible. We'll go over each card, because some of them are the same, but we'll just go over them all really quickly. Say if I think they're going to be good, and if you should look for them if you play certain heroes. Let's go. Thick Hide Hunter is a yellow 2-cost, 6-power, 6-block brute attack action. It says when it attacks or defends, you discard a random card. I think this card's a good brute card to have. I don't know what it sees play in, but it's possibly really good. If you are a very defensive deck like a Rhinar, I could easily see Thick Hide Hunter come in to be the last card to block in your hand because you can get 15 value. As well as in Rhinar, it's not bad to just play it and discard a random card because you can trigger the Intimidate, as well as it's a 2 for 6 you can actually play if you only have 2 cards in your hand, because this isn't cost. It's a when you do this, do the thing. So you can pitch your last card, play this, then you discard, but you don't have any cards. So you just throw a 2 for 6. So I think it's a good Rhinar card, but I don't know if it's good anywhere else. Tremor Shield Sabatons, I hope I'm saying that right, is a Guardian leg equipment. They are 1 block and blade break, and you can destroy them at instant speed to prevent the next 1 arcane damage that will be dealt to you this turn. But if you control if you controlled a seismic surge token this turn, so currently have 1 or 1 left play, you prevent 2 instead. So this is sort of like Spell Void. Mechanologist and Ranger have very similar equipment. We'll talk about those. They have a little bit different mechanics. But I think these are okay. I don't think they're as good as the generic leg from this set, or even Civic Steps, or probably even AB1 Shoes. But they are an option you could go with, and I think that's okay. Guardian also gets another card that, in fact, all 3 of the classes that got these equipment got another card. Guardian gets Rolling Fissure, a blue block 3 action that costs X+1. You destroy an aura with cost X or less, then make a Seismic Surge token, you may destroy a Seismic Surge token, and if you do, you destroy another aura. Good versus Enigma. If you have a bunch of surges, that's a little hard to do. I think this card gets better once we get Valda, because we know we're getting a Valda. I don't know if she's going to be the same or different, but she'll probably have something to do with surges. from the, is it History Pack Guardian? What was the type of pack? The Guardian set in August, I believe. Rolling Fissure might be better then, so you might want to, if you're a Guardian player, might want to pick these up because it's a good tech card versus any of the Aura decks. Mainly going to be Enigma though. Ninja gets specifically Katsu, which is why it's in the expansion slot because only Katsu can play it. Gets Retrace the Past, a card that is really good. Too bad Zephyr Needle got banned, so Katsu's worse because you can't be an aggro deck anymore. Oh well, Retrace the Past, or you can still be an aggro deck, but it's like, is this card that good? Probably not. Let's just read it. Retrace the Past, they blue, 0 cost, 3 block, Ninja Likey. 2 power, Katsu spec. It is combo. When this attacks, if a card with Gust Wave in its name was the last attack in the chain, you name a card, then this gets +2 and go again. Notably, they changed the ruling for naming cards. You may now name cards that are not legal in the format as long as they are an official Flesh and Blood card, which means that if you name Bonds of Ancestry, you can for Dishonor, so you can actually use Dishonor now. Is it good enough? Maybe. You probably play 3 Retrace the Past in your Katsu deck because it's a blue you actually want. But is it going to make Katsu that good? Probably not. I'm going to get 3 because I like Katsu, but you probably don't want these if you're not a Katsu player. They're going to be like $1 in 2 months probably. Unless Katsu gets like an Armory deck and then they'll go up. Misfire Dampener is the new Mechanologist prevention equipment. It's the same thing where it's Blade Break 1 with an instant to prevent 1 Arcane or 2 if you do something. This one is if you've boosted this turn, which is easier to do. Actually, this is fine. I think you do actually play these gloves sometimes, so there's a good shot these actually will be the, not, I wouldn't say the most used, because Ranger gets a Quiver, which is just free, but I would play this in some mech decks if I really wanted to. But also, mech does need some more support. They don't really have much. They're getting Null Time Zone, which is a 0 cost blue item with Crank, enters with 2 counters, and it destroys itself at the start of the turn if you don't remove a steam counter. And when it enters the arena, you name a card, and that card can't be played or pitched from hand while it's in the arena. So they can still play it from Arsenal, but it's fine. This is a good card. I don't know what mech deck actually wants to play it in their deck, but it's a good card. I don't know if it's like insanely powerful because it's a little like a Censor, but I think I'd rather play Censor, although I guess mech can't play Censor because it's generic, but still a good card. I don't know what deck plays it. Probably just Dio, and that's probably the best mech currently. So I think it has a good shot to see some play. Enchanted Quiver is the Ranger prevention. This one just says if you have a face-up arrow, prevent 2. So like this is just free. You play this in Riptide 100%. Do you play it in Azalea? Probably not. I think I want Crow's Nest. But this card's gas. Really good. I play this card all the time. I think you should play this card all the time. This card is just free Arcane Prevention. They also get Chain Reaction, a card we did already make a video on. This is a Ranger defense reaction trap. It says if it's fencing with Go Again, you may turn a non-attack action card in your arsenal face up, and if you do, you can play it as though it were an instant this turn. Pretty good with a bunch of cool non-attack actions. Good with like 3 of a kind possibly. Good with a few other stuff. I think this card's pretty cool. Will it see play in every deck? Probably not. Maybe it will in Riptide. I think probably she's playing a lot of Riptide decks. But will it see play in everything else? I don't know. I think it's an okay card. Douse in Runeblood is a 1-for-4 with 3 block. At red, it's Runeblade. When it attacks, you make a Rune Chant token equal to the number of non-attack actions you've played this turn. And if 3 or more Rune Chants were made this way, this gets Go Again. I believe Rune Chant multiplication effects, things like Mordred Tide and Florian's ability, also count for this because this is the card still making them in that case, so you can get it Go Again easier. Notably, it is with this card, which means something like Viserai, I believe, does not count. Which, I mean, if you're playing 3 non-attack actions to make 3 Rune Chants to give this card Go Again, can you attack after that anyway? I guess maybe with like your weapon. This card seems a little hard to use, personally, from what I'm thinking of, but maybe it actually does see play. But I do think the card's actually not bad other than that anyway. It's a 1 for 4 block 3. I think you could just play it in Runeblade. And if it comes up, great. If it doesn't come up, oh well, you have a 1 for 4 that blocks 3. Like, that's not bad. Moving on to the talented cards, we have Spurlocked. I'm not going to talk about this card. All you need to know is it's really good, because it'd be too long for me to talk about, honestly. Pretty much what you need to know is this card is good. If you are a deck that can play it, you play 3 of it, you almost always say 4 or 5, and it's worth it. Pretty much almost every time. Like 90% of the time you say 4 or 5 and you like it, no matter the result. Really good card. You play it in every deck that can play it. So Slippy and Mario definitely want Spurlocked. 100%. Ring of Roses is a legendary Verdant spec for some reason. I don't know why it's legendary. I think this card could be... You could start the game with 3 of these and maybe not even win in Verdants. That might be disingenuous. You could start the game with 3 and win hands down, because that would be a lot of life gain. But like, turn 1 you could play 1, turn 2 you could play 1, and turn 3 you could play 1, and you probably wouldn't. It'd probably still be a close game. Like, I don't know. This card being legendary is weird to me, but you play it. It's a yellow 0-cost Earth Wizard action. It's an aura. It says the first time you deal arcane damage each turn, you gain a life, and it blocks 3. So it's a blue block 3 non-attack action for your embodiments. It's a Earth card for your Decompose, and it's just a good card to have in play. Gains you some extra life. Technically does more damage if you have your ability on, so I think it's a good card. You play it in Verdants, but I think it could have been available at 3 and still been fine. I don't know. I don't play much Verdants, but I think it could have been okay. I'm not the one to talk on it, though. Warcry of Themis is a light illusionist action. It's a 0-cost yellow 3 block. It gives your next angel attack +4, and has an instant to discard it to banish X cards from your soul and turn X cards in the banish zone face down. So good against Shadow and Ninja. That's it. Those are the only real uses for it. But, I mean, that's what these face down effects were designed to do, is be good against Shadow and Ninja heroes. I think it's fine. You probably don't play it, because giving +4 to an angel might not be the best thing to do, because angels don't have any hit effects. You just want to attack with them, which this card is yellow and blocks 3, so it's probably okay. I think you play it in your board if you really think you need it, but I don't think you need it in Prism. I think it's okay, though. I don't play much Prism, but I think that this card seems okay. Warcry of Bologna is the Bolton version of the card. It gives Raiden +2 this turn, or you can discard it to banish X cards from your soul, and the next time target weapon deals X or less damage to you, it deals that much to your opponent, and it can't be prevented. So, this is a good sideboard card if you're on Raiden, because your opponent could swing a weapon at you, and then you deflect it, and they die. Not deflect, because you still take the damage. But, I mean, it's good. It works. I don't think you play this card, but it's possible you do. And I think it's fine. I think both the light cards are fine. I've seen people talk about them saying that they're bad. I think they're okay. You might want to play the Bolton one, but you probably don't play the Illusionist one. Unless, like, unless Shadow and Ninja, really only Katsu and Zen, by the way. Like, this card doesn't do anything versus Syndra. Maybe it stops Rising Resentment against her and Fi. But, like, this is a anti-Zen and Katsu card. But, sorry. But, versus Zen, it's okay. Like, you stop one Zen activation, but it's still a bad matchup for you. And then against Katsu, it's already a really good matchup for you. So, do you really want this? Like, I don't think so, but you might want it. And it also depends on Shadow. If, like, Vincent, because we need to talk about Cole. Cole's a really good card. If Vincent becomes meta, yeah, you play Warcry of Themis. But if they're not meta, you don't really need to. I don't know. Cole is the last real expansion slot card. There are 5 other cards we technically need to talk about. We're not going to go super in-depth into them. But Cole is a card we also already made a deck list on. This is a 3-block Shadow Runeblade action. You can play it from your Banish Zone And if a hero lost life this turn, you can play it as though it were an instant. It is Blood Debt, of course, and it causes each hero to banish a card from their hand. Very good. You play it in Vinset, 100%. This card's really good. I think this is the best expansion slot card in the expansion slot this time around. If I had to rank them, well, that's not true. Of the M's, number 1 is Spurlocked, number 2 is Cole, and I think number 3 is Thick-Hide Hunter. This set's expansion slot isn't the best if you don't count CNC. If you count CNC, this is the best expansion slot ever. But this is a legendary, so it's harder to pull. But if you're just counting the M's, Spurlocked is really good. I understand why it's not in this set, because this would be really good and limited. But it's in the expansion slot for a reason. In fact, every Chaos card is technically in an expansion slot, because legendaries are in the last 2 picks, which means they're not legal for limited, and so same as the Fabled. So just no Chaos cards are legal for limited except the heroes. So I think Spurlocked is probably the best one. I really like the art too. I think this art's really cool. And then Cole also, really, really cool art. And I think this is the second best card. And then I think the third best either has to be Thick-Hide Hunter or Retrace the Past. The rest of the cards aren't too good right now, but I think they could be good in the future. Maybe Ring of Roses up there. But Spurlocked and Cole are the best 2. Thick-Hide Hunter is probably a good third. If you like Rhinar. Rhinar isn't the best, but I think this card is definitely an improvement for him. We do have a few other cards to talk about. I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that literally don't matter. There is a Marvel reprint of Solitary Confinement, Arachne Huntsman, and Normal Arachne. And I don't know why I didn't say Arachne Solitary Confinement. You know what I'm talking about. They are reprinted as Marvels in this set. There are 4 Marvels you can pull, as well as Arachne Slip Through the Cracks is a pullable Marvel. So technically he is in the set, but he's not legal for limited. So that's whatever. He is adult Solitary Confinement, but is also a Chaos hero. So he's technically not, but technically is. Oh, actually, he has a different hero ability. So he's not even technically, it is a different hero. This one gives the first stealth attack each turn go again, including your opponents, for literally no reason. That's my one complaint. This didn't have to be both heroes get their first stealth attack go again. But oh well. I think Slip Through Cracks is pretty good. Not the main show here. I think this Marvel looks gorgeous, but that's besides the point because we have a CNC reprint. That's right, everyone. I can start putting CNC in my deck lists again and not have to tell you to get something else. I'm joking. I'm going to tell you because this card will not be easy to get. Everyone who has original CNCs will probably look for this one because this art, I'm going to be honest, is way cooler. Sorry to whoever drew the original CNC, which the original CNC is a really cool art. I will say, I really like it. But this card is gas. This new CNC is gas. I'm going to be looking for 3 of these even. If the price is comparable, I'll probably even trade my normal ones for the new ones. However, I do think that normal CNC, for at least a little bit, will go down in price because of this card. But I think they will rise up again to where they are now. Because this is a legendary. This is hard to pull. This is the rarest legendary in the set. I think someone on Twitter or X said that pulling a playset of these was like 70 to 90 boxes. So these are not easy to get. It's like 1 every 28-ish boxes. So they are hard to get. These are going to be expensive. But normal CNC possibly will go down. So this might be your time to get them. Watch the market. But that's Command & Conquer. Overall, I think the expansion slot's okay. There's a few really good ones, a few cards that could be better later down the line. I think they are good cards, but not good right now. Chain Reaction, Dowson, Runeblood, those types of cards. But overall, I think the Hunted is a really good set. I think that if you really wanted to, the Hunted would be an amazing set to start with because same as Rosetta. Both Hunted and Rosetta are great sets to start with. A lot of really, really powerful cards in these sets that you can look for and have trade value to trade with other people to get the older cards that you actually need. But with all that, that is going to be the end of the video. I hope you all I don't know. Whoever's here, I keep saying, hope you all enjoyed. Whoever's here, I know a lot of you don't watch the end of the video. If you do, I really appreciate it. And I hope your pulls are good. I don't know if I'm going to end up recording my box. I don't know if I'm going to get a second box. I might. I don't know if I'll end up recording my opening. If I do, it'll be right here on YouTube next 2 weeks. Do I have a video in between? No, this is the video before the set comes out. So next week, if I do open a box on camera, it will be on camera and I'll post it. So you'll see that if it's there. If not, we'll get started with the deck list right away. And with all of that, that is just going to be the end of the video. And I hope you all enjoyed, because this video is long. And I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.